guys, Prowl 1701, and today we're continuing our ranking of all of the seasons and series of Doctor Who, classic and modern. And we're going from first place to 41st place, as I am also including the 2009 specials and the 50th anniversaries as their own entries on the list. And we are at, we are at number 31 on the list, which today we're going to be talking about the 2009 David Tennant specials. So, The Next Doctor, Planet of the Dead, Waters of Mars, and The End of Times, Part 1 and 2. I enjoy these for the most part. I especially love Planet of the Dead. It's the standout for me. I know it's a lot of people's least favorite. I love Planet of the Dead. I like the story in it, I like the creatures in it, and the fact they're not, the creatures in it aren't bad. That's just part of their natural life cycle, as the Doctor points out. I love the chemistry between the 10th Doctor and, I can't remember the lady's name in it, but I know it's Lady something or another. But Michelle Ryan's character, she would have made such a good companion, and I love the chemistry there. They have kind of that same almost flirty nature that Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman have, their characters have, in the latter part of Series 7, which I like. I like that kind of flirty banter. I don't get into the mush stuff with him and Rose, but the little bit of flirting here I enjoyed. Plus, they just seem to have good chemistry in general. David Tennant's really on his A game here. Michelle Ryan's on her A game here. I like the effects on a desert planet. I'm a big Dune fan, so you put me on a desert planet, I'm really happy. Except Tatooine. I'm kind of sick of Tatooine. So I enjoyed that. I like the bit with the bus. I know that kind of bus is a famous British landmark, much like, you know, the TARDIS is and Doctor Who is. So it's nice to kind of see that big bus in there. I just like that one. It's fun. And I love Malcolm. I love Malcolm. It's so frustrating that we get Oswin back, but we never get Malcolm. And I like Oswin. But I really wish we'd get Malcolm back, because I like Malcolm. You named a measure, you know, a unit of measurement after yourself? Well, it didn't work out so bad for Mr. What, now did it? I love that. I'll call you back. He hang up on me. I like Malcolm. Malcolm's so much fun. And then the woman playing the captain, major, the leader of the unit group that's there. I like her. I like how when she calls her, she salutes. She's like, did you just salute? No. She does a really good job at that. She reminds me a lot of the Brigadier, because she wouldn't have wanted to have trapped the Doctor over there, but she would have done what she needed to do to save the Earth. And that's kind of the same approach the Brigadier would have taken, especially early on. So she kind of has some Brigadier qualities to her I like. She was really good. It's a really nice cast, a really good episode, and a great way to tease Tennant's, you know, death coming, basically, or the 10th Doctor's death. You know, it was some good foreshadowing there. You know, your time is ending. There will be four. That was a great little bit of foreshadowing, even though we as an audience already knew Tennant was leaving. It had already been announced. But I like, in the universe, that was some good foreshadowing. The next one I probably like on there, it kind of depends on the day. I like The Next Doctor a lot. Now, it kind of falls apart at the ending, when the woman, you know, gets put in the chair and becomes almost a Cyberman, and you got the big Cyber King running around. You know, nobody ever remembers that, and that's... Okay, the ending is a little jumping the shark. I'm going to give it that. But before you got to the ending, I really liked it. I like Morrissey in this episode, and you could see him being such a good Doctor. I love that he kind of dresses more like a traditional Doctor, like a classic Doctor would, you know, very much, you know, invoking or evoking some McGann there. Definitely got some of that kind of McGann look to him. It's something you can picture a classic Doctor wearing, and I like that they kind of had some fun with that. And toward the beginning, he really does feel like a Doctor, the way he's running around with the see, and I love after him and the 10th Doctor are chasing the monkey thing after they fall down and they're picking themselves up, they're just laughing about it. You know, there really is that little bit of a mystery at the beginning of, could he be a future Doctor? And I enjoy that. He plays being the Doctor really well. I wish we'd gotten more of that. I really think Morrissey would have made a great Doctor. So it's nice seeing what is almost a multi-Doctor story for a little bit. I like that. once he realizes who he is, he's kind of less effective. I never really cared for the Jackson Lake side of him as much. He's just kind of there to tell the doctor he's great and saved my son, and it kind of loses me there. Although Morrissey's still great playing the part. The 10th Doctor, again, I like here. I like the actress playing the woman. Mercy, was that her first name? I like her. She does a good job, because she seems almost as emotionless as the Cybermen even before they put her in that chair. She just seems cut off from whatever it was that happened to her in her life, you know. She just seems cut off from humanity. As emotionless as the Cyberman. She seems less emotional than an 80s Cyberman. Excellent. Yeah, I like the next Doctor. It's aside from the ending where it does get over the top and jumping the shark, I think it's a really good burn up until then, a nice slow build up. And plus, I think it's the first time we ever see footage of the classic Doctors in the show when he's looking at the info stamp. You know, we've had it several times since. And I remember in Human Nature, it showed the drawing of previous incarnations in his notebook, but I think this is the first time when it's showing like different clips of all the previous Doctors, especially classic Doctors in there, when he's looking at the info stamp about, you know, the history of the Doctor, and it shows all the Doctors. I remember seeing that for the first time, and I was just like, I was all excited. I'm like, you know, that had to be a pretty exciting moment, I'm sure, for a lot of fans, just seeing the classic ones on there. I enjoyed that. So it's a good episode. The End of Time is probably next on my list. I like it. I don't rewatch it as much. I used to rewatch it all the time because I was a huge Tennant fanboy for a long time. He was my solid number 2 Doctor for a long time, like solid. You know, edging up to number 1 pretty close, but not quite there. I was a huge Tennant fanboy for a long, long time. So I rewatched End of Time a lot. I do like it. I think it fills out its 2 parts well. Some people I know have told me that they think it should have been 1 part. I disagree. I think it fits off its 2nd part well. The Master's plan is silly, but that's really just fitting in with the Master. The Master's had some pretty... Even Delgado, I love Delgado, but some of his plans were over the top silly, let's be honest. Almost twirling mustache silly. So to see the Master do a plan like he's doing in End of Time to make everybody versions of him, it's perfectly in keeping with the Master, the classic sense of the Master. So I'm on board with it. Sims is much better in the role than he was in Series 3, but not as good as he'll be in Series 10. But he's still good here. I do like him a lot more here than I did in Series 3. And you do get some tender moments between him and Tennant, like when they're in the junkyard and at the beginning of part 2 when he's tied up and they're chatting. You do get those, you know, I used to care about you moments from both of them. I mean, the fact that even at the end the Master tells him to get out of the way, he doesn't just kill Tennant, he just get out of the way, you know, because Tennant refused to kill him with the gun and shot the machine instead. So I like that you can kind of really get that sense of frenemies and once good friends from them in that episode. I like that. It's got Wilf in it. I love Wilf. Bernard Cribbins. I love Wilf. I hope he got all of his filming done before he passed earlier this year, because I really want to see Wilf back next year for the 60th. But he's one of my favorite companions, and I consider him a companion. He's just so much fun. You can see why the Doctor would have been proud to have him as a dad. And I love the extended ending to End of Time. I know some people don't, that very Lord of the Rings ending where he gets to say goodbye. I think it's fitting for the 10th Doctor. I feel like the 10th Doctor earned it because he was such a beloved Doctor at the time. Well, he still is, but at the time he was the only Doctor that a whole generation of fans had really had time to grow with, because Eccleston was just kind of there and then he was gone. Just as you start to get attached to him, he's gone. Tennant, they had years and multiple seasons to really grow and to really become their Doctor. So for them to have to grapple with him leaving, it's one of the reasons I like the specials to begin with. It's almost like Tennant getting his victory lap, which I think he deserves. So I like the fact he kind of gets that long goodbye to kind of give the fans a little more time to say goodbye to him. I love that we get to see him, you know, talk to Jack and talk to Sarah Jane and all of these other companions, and that he actually sees the woman from the Human Nature, her like great-granddaughter or whatever. That's a touching little moment. The music playing throughout all of this is really good. The fact he gets to even kind of tell Rose goodbye in his own way. And then the regeneration itself is nice. I always liked his last line because the 10th Doctor really liked being the 10th Doctor. So yeah, I was always cool with his last line. I didn't think it was over the top. I love the regeneration scene. I mean, the TARDIS blowing up is kind of old hat now, but at the time it was revolutionary. I was like, yeah, I love End of Time. And then the last one on the list is Waters of Mars. This is the only one I'm really disappointed with, and probably the reason why this isn't higher on the list. Now, Waters of Mars isn't bad. I just don't really care for it. And I've seen it probably half a dozen times at least. It's a cool concept. It's executed pretty well. I believe it's a, what is it? Oh, Graham Harper, I believe. I think Graham Harper did this one, if I remember correctly. Might have been his last Doctor Who story to direct. If I'm remembering correctly, Graham Harper is an amazing Doctor Who director. The only person who's ever directed classic Who and modern Who. But I just don't get into this one for some reason. I love the fact that it's a historical part of our future. Like to us, you know, it hasn't happened yet, so we don't think about it. But people, you know, 10, 20, 30 years after 2059, you know, to them that's history, like Pearl Harbor is, or September 11th is, or those, you know, stuff like that. The Mary Celeste, the Titanic, you know, these tragedies that happen that you wish you could go back and prevent, and you can't. You know, this whole lunar moon base one or whatever is like that. It's that important. It's that historical. So to see a fictional historical event like that fascinates me. And to see the Doctor there, but it's a fixed point in time, he's not supposed to do anything, and he's having to grapple with what he wants to do and what he knows he's supposed to do. That's a wonderful struggle. And it does have some humorous moments in it. You know, the Doctor fun. You know, state your name, rank, and attention. Doctor, the Doctor. Fun. I love that. And the gadget. Yeah, I enjoy some of that. And it's tragic when you see them, you know, everybody's getting taken over by the water. Again, this is a good job of Moffat being clever and taking an ordinary thing and making it deadly and dangerous. In this case, water. He makes water dangerous and deadly. One drop, you know, and water always wins. And plus, I absolutely loved when you know, the 10th Doctor name dropped the Ice Warriors, because we hadn't had the Ice Warriors in modern Who. And a lot of people watching who had started with a modern show probably weren't familiar with them, so they might not have gotten the reference. But you know, like me, as soon as he name dropped the Ice Warriors, I was like, he mentioned the Ice Warriors. So that was a cool moment. And I do love the ending. I love the whole, you know, him going to the extremes to save everybody. Him going on his Time Lord victorious rant, you know, her decision to keep history on track, and him realizing that he'd gone too far. I love that ending. That last like 10 minutes or so is phenomenal. But just for some reason, despite all of the praise I just heaped on it, I don't really care for it. It has a low rewatchability for me now. I never want to go back and see it. I might get on YouTube and watch the last 10 minutes, but I never want to just go all the way through the episode. And again, my list a lot of times boils down to rewatchability. Do I want to rewatch this? And Waters of Mars is easily the weakest of the specials for me. I know for a lot of people it's the strongest, but for me, it is the weakest. My favorite being Planet of the Dead, which has a strong rewatchability for me. You speak their language? Every language. You're an alien too? Yeah, but you don't have to kiss me either. I love that banter. I do. So the 2009 specials, what do you think of them? How would you rank them? Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to contribute to that. That's down there as well, as is a link to my Amazon wish list and my P.O. box. If there's anything you'd like to send me, all that fun stuff's down there. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Crane, a top tier Patreon supporter, and a thank you to all of my other patrons as well. And most importantly, thank you for watching.